Psychiatrist Alan Fisher signs a document before leaving his office. Moments later, he falls from the ceiling. In Oklahoma, Edward Wayne Brady is about to be executed after 11 years on death row. Dr. James Martin arrives to conduct Brady's psychiatric evaluation, replacing Dr. Fisher. The warden only wants the psychiatrist to sign a report stating that Brady is faking demonic possession. According to him, the inmate is a master manipulator, so he warns James not to be fooled by the act. In the interview room, as James introduces himself, Brady shows that he knows everything about him and recites his entire resume. The psychiatrist explains the purpose of the evaluation, but Brady interrupts, saying that when he dies, they will perform an autopsy. He asks why, if they already know he died by electrocution. He then confesses that Fisher made his fatal decision because he forced him to. When James asks why he wanted Fisher dead, if he had already signed that Brady did not deserve the death penalty due to insanity, Brady replies that his goal is to die, and that he has chosen James to write his story. Brady claims he cannot die because he is a demon using his body as a suit. At this, James asks his name, and Brady says his real name was common 3,500 years ago, but now it would sound incomprehensible, so he suggests calling him Nefarious, a name close to the meaning of his own. When James remarks that Nefarious is not a real name, the demon becomes defensive, stating that names have power. He then calls the psychiatrist Jimmy, which unsettles him. Nefarious laughs and says he has a secret. Before James leaves that day, he will have committed 3 murders. James mocks him and says he would rather talk about the murders Brady himself has committed. Nefarious confesses that over the past thousands of years, he has committed many murders, but he clarifies that Brady has committed none, that he has been his puppet, carrying out the killings he, as a demon, wished to commit. He explains that Brady's possession was a gradual process, beginning with bad choices and immoral acts, moving through stages of temptation and subjugation until reaching full possession. Now he no longer needs Brady and wants him to die so his soul will go to hell. James, who declares himself an atheist, calls a priest because he is not an expert in religious matters. Nefarious shouts that atheism will not protect him from his evil. A light bulb shatters, and shortly after, Father Lewis arrives. Nefarious seems to fear him, but the priest dismisses the idea of demonic possession and says he is only there to calm him. Nefarious mocks him, calling him Weird Lou and saying he is a fraud. James asks the demon to prove his power by possessing him. Nefarious agrees, but James mocks him when he feels no change. Then Brady, speaking in a slower, broken tone, says he does not suffer from dissociative identity disorder, but that the demon forces him to do evil things and then punishes him. Brady begins to cry, but Nefarious returns and tells James that at least Brady did not kill his mother, implying that James did. He describes how James disconnected his mother from life support, inheriting a large amount of money. James, upset, insists he did it to spare her suffering, but Nefarious mocks him, saying she was simply an inconvenience. The demon, increasingly incisive, enrages James until he loses his composure. Then the psychiatrist apologizes and demands that his personal life remain outside the conversation. Nefarious agrees and changes the subject, explaining that his goal is for James to write a book about how an atheist psychiatrist came to believe in demonic possession after this experience. During their exchange, the demon argues that the devil controls the world, not God, since religious followers are his slaves. According to him, those who choose evil are the ones who truly have freedom, and the devil gains more followers every day. In the end, James signs a report stating that Brady truly believes he is possessed, which makes him mentally unstable and therefore unfit for execution. This means he will be sent to a mental institution instead of being executed. As James prepares to leave, Nefarious stops him and reveals a devastating detail about his girlfriend, Melody. She is about to abort their child. According to Nefarious, she is doing it to save their relationship, even though James plans to break up with her afterward. This, the demon says, will condemn Melody to live with regret for the rest of her life, all because of James's selfishness. Nefarious offers to save the relationship if he apologizes and tells her he loves her. However, James defends himself, arguing that the situation is complicated and that he is not ready to be a father. The demon then describes in detail what is happening in Melody's womb at that very moment, stating that James has just killed his second victim of the day. Mockingly, he adds, "Another point for the devil." James, disturbed by Nefarious's words, realizes he is right and, in desperation, begs the guard to let him make an emergency call to try to stop the abortion. Although he manages to reach Melody, it is too late. The procedure has already happened. Back in the cell, Brady, the death row inmate possessed by Nefarious, waits for his execution. In a moment of apparent humanity, he asks for a specific last meal and pleads with the guard not to get it wrong. However, when the guard leaves, his voice shifts abruptly and he shouts to forget the meal, that he is no longer hungry. James, growing more uncertain, confesses to the warden that Brady knows things about him he should not know, given that he has been in solitary confinement for 11 years. The warden confirms that Brady has not left his cell in all that time, which leaves James even more unsettled. He is told he has 1 hour to decide Brady's fate. James confronts Nefarious again, seeking answers, wanting to know how the demon knew about the abortion. Nefarious laughs and replies, "I am a demon, is it not obvious?" The conversation then shifts into a debate about the state of humanity. Nefarious mocks James's optimistic view, as he defends human progress in literacy, equality, and the fight against racism. The demon, in contrast, scoffs, claiming that the average high school graduate barely reads at a 6th grade level. That millionaire athletes complain about racism, and that there are more slaves today than ever before, according to him. Humanity is losing the moral battle, and more people align with evil. As they speak, the lights flicker due to generator tests, ensuring there is enough power for the execution. Nefarious describes with disturbing delight the physical effects of electrocution on the human body, explaining that he chose this method over lethal injection because it is more cruel. In a brief moment, Brady emerges from the possession, begging to be saved. James tries to help him, but Nefarious returns, furious at the interruption, and punishes Brady by breaking one of his fingers. When James threatens to call for help, the demon, to prove his power, instantly heals the broken finger. Nefarious also speaks of a book James will write, titled The Dark Gospel, which will prove the supremacy of evil over good and become a bestseller. Later, James discovers a manuscript written by Brady containing disturbing details of his own childhood, along with photographs and personal documents impossible to obtain from Brady's confinement. When James confronts him, Brady attacks him physically, trying to strangle him with chains, but the guards intervene and subdue him. This confrontation leads James to finally sign the authorization for the execution. As Brady is taken away, he shouts that with this decision, James has just committed his 3rd murder of the day, fulfilling Nefarious's prophecy. James decides to witness the execution to be sure he made the right choice. Brady, crying and terrified, walks without resistance toward the electric chair. When asked for his final words, Nefarious reappears and asks James if he accepts the offer of his master. James refuses, and Brady, briefly back in control, screams in desperation as the electrocution begins. After the first cycle, Brady's heart is still beating, so they activate the chair once more. Finally, he is declared dead 2 minutes later. Shaken, James hears Nefarious whispering in his mind, urging him to accept the offer. In a desperate act, James takes a gun, begs God for help, and tries to shoot himself, but the weapon inexplicably fails. Later, it is confirmed that the gun had no mechanical issues, which James interprets as divine intervention. 1 year later, James appears on a television program to talk about the book he wrote. During the interview, he admits that he was possessed by a demonic entity and that the original manuscript was written by Brady. However, James revised it into a warning message about the war between good and evil, urging people to choose good. Despite his intentions, the book fulfills Nefarious's purpose by revealing the reality of God, hell, and eternal life, leaving the choice to the reader. In the final scene, James gives money to a homeless woman. As he does, he hears Nefarious's voice thanking him, "Well done." And with this, the movie ends. Don't forget to check out my channel, subscribe, and catch all the latest videos.